Hey everyone, welcome to the Redmen Originals Podcast. I'm your host Paul Machin. I am joined by Ste Plunk, who has kindly stepped in for the, I presume, resting and recuperating Chris Pajak. I don't look. Everyone's got all kinds going on in their lives, but also it was the Super Bowl last night as well. I just want to.
Well, that is the reason.
Yeah.
He stayed here.
Yes, anyway, Chloe Bloxham is here and Dan Club. And not that he necessarily would be here, but Ste Hoare is not here. Anyone who's seen Steve's Instagram will know. Anyone who hasn't, I've got it on screen right now. That was Steve's face. Steve got hit in the face with a cricket ball. Now, Dan,
yes,
was it a cricket ball he got hit in the face with?
I mean, in so much as it's ball shaped.
It was a ball and they were playing cricket.
And it's acting as a cricket ball, yes, but it's not an actual cricket ball. I'd like to make that known. But get well soon, Steve. Next time, do something. Don't get it in the face by it. Hit the ball. Look out the way of the ball. I'm not... Listen, far be it from me to talk down anybody's cricketing abilities. But that, I've seen it. He ain't bowling 80 miles an hour. Let's just leave it at that.
There's video footage. There is video footage of Steve getting hit in the face, and it's fine.
Someone proper laughs. Someone proper.
All
laughs.
I'll say is, we haven't got the footage to hand, but I have seen it, and it is like, I'll give you an example. Kusanov gets a knee to the head, and he is instantly surrounded by people who are very concerned for his well-being. Yeah. Steve gets hit in the face, and a few fellas casually meander in his general direction. In fact, one gets within about 3 meters of him and just stops. Just like the man who was closest to the scene stops.
I
but
couldn't
anyway,
even figure out what happened to me. I couldn't see the ball.
Well, neither could Steve. That's the problem.
Yeah. Anyway, yes. Get well soon, Steve. Should he not have been wearing a helmet?
I think the fact he isn't wearing a helmet tells you all you need to know about sort of the cricket that we're talking about here, yeah. Because generally speaking, yes, but for it not to be a requirement suggests that maybe he should have been okay,
yeah,
and not getting hit.
Anyway,
by some child.
He might, all joking aside, he might have a concussion. So let's genuinely send him some well wishes.
Yeah.
But also it's Steve, so he enjoys a little bit of like humour on his own behalf. So yeah, anyway, that's it for him. Look, am I trying to avoid talking about the match? Yes, I am, and I will continue to do so. Not only because I don't know whether you can tell, but my voice is goosed as well. Before we do inevitably dive into it, I want to draw your attention to the latest episode of Axa Player Portraits. It is with two Liverpool women legends in Tash Dowie and Niamh Farhi. I had so much fun recording this one. Listen to them two talk about the stories, not just as friends and teammates, but also as enemies on the pitch. It's definitely worth the price of admission. Here's a little clip from that. You've been teammates, friends.
Yes, now.
We use that term loosely.
Niamh. Oh my
Frenemies
gosh.
at the time.
At the time.
Trauma.
There's a
Physical.
little scar just on the top of Niamh.
Well, they're blending in now with all the lines, so you can't really tell. But
one of them is mine. Do you
Yeah.
know what I miss in the
Mean.
women's game
Mean.
now? The rivalries. We love those games. You know, that's kind of what you live for. And then, yeah, when Niamh then went to Chelsea, I might have caught her with my elbow by accident and
flailing arms and
but
accidental elbows.
Yes, if you didn't scan the QR code on screen on YouTube here for that, then you can click the link in the description underneath, or you can just head to the Axa UK YouTube channel. Do drop a nice word in the comments for us for sending you that way. Look, Dan, just say I'm not sure people are really in the mood for light-hearted football-related content at the moment, which is why we're in major trouble, if we're being honest. But listen, if you need something to just distract you from the misery that is this, whole world that we're living in right now, then yeah, I would highly recommend that episode. It is very good fun indeed. Right, okay, everyone. Liverpool 1, Man City 2. 2. That is an important talking point, which is to come in due course. But look, I've got no idea where you start with this one, Steve, because look, I'll kind of put this to the room, and I'll put this to the people watching live who we can actually interact with. This is another one of those games where I feel a bit stupid wanting to talk about the positives when actually it is the negatives. And it's a lot of the negatives that we've seen a lot throughout the season. It's the negatives that undo us. It's the negatives which are the reason why we're sat here trying not to discuss a game of football because we've lost, instead of discussing a game that we've won heroically or whatever. So, yeah, in terms of tone or whatever, I'm not really sure how to proceed, what to do with this, but everyone, the mood is low today, I think is the best way.
Yeah. And you make it up as you go along kind of thing when this happens, don't you? I was kind of, when Szoboszlai scores, I'm thinking, boss, we'll go in there and we'll just wax lyrical about free kicks on the pod. Unfortunately, it didn't turn out that way. So whatever this turns into and how deep we get into it, I suppose we've got to do it, haven't we? But yeah, you're right. The mood is low. It's hard to take that one. Really hard to take, given who it was as well, and the late nature of it all, and some of the things that went on were absolutely bizarre, which I'm sure we'll get into. But yeah, it's not fun. It's not fun at the moment.
It was mad at the club because I don't know about you, but with 80 minutes played, I had never even entered my head that we weren't winning that game. The crowd was up, everyone was having a good time. Liverpool were attacking. It was like watching any Liverpool-Man City game where we at Anfield over the entire course of our lives and beyond. I mean, to the point, they'd only won 3 times at Anfield since 1953 or something. You know, whether that's in the league or not, I don't know, but it was mentioned in commentary. We've grown accustomed to doing quite well against them, and then, yeah, we didn't.
Somehow, the worst thing that Liverpool could have done was score. Because they scored and then they went so defensive and so negative-minded. That was at least it's exactly what I think. I think the game spun on its head. I thought Liverpool then invited the pressure, if anything. And Liverpool were happy to try and hang on for dear life, where we all know that the best form of, defence in terms of trying to get at the City team is you've got to attack them, you've got to keep the ball, and you've got to try and implement, your way on the game. I thought Liverpool did brilliantly in the second half. Probably should be 2 at least up. They're not. Sobo gets an absolute wonder goal. Like, I've never seen a ball hit like that live. It was sensational. But from that moment, it just felt like Liverpool then decided to invite the pressure on. And I'm going to be honest, once it went 1-1, I knew exactly what was going to happen from there. I probably couldn't have told you that it would have been an absolute mad mistake from a goalkeeper, but it doesn't shock me that it was for the second. But for me, it was just so frustrating because I thought Liverpool had done so well in that second half. And then as soon as we scored, I just saw Liverpool be a little bit scared. And that is, maybe away from home, you kind of dig deep and you do that. But at home, being so negative after the goal, I didn't like it.
It's an interesting thread to point, and not something I considered because I saw Liverpool obviously continuing to attack as well, Dan. But whether we tried to play on the counter-attack in the first half or it was a necessity of the way that Man City played compared to how we played, as to say they were the better team in the first half and we weren't very good at it. And then if we've actively chosen to go back to a counter-attacking style for the final stages of that game, then that just feels fucking stupid to me, because when we were from foot and when we were pinning them back and actively getting up the pitch and trying to stake our place in their territory, they couldn't live with us. So if we've actively tried to stop doing that, then that is a bit stupid.
No, it was a bit stupid. I think that is exactly what we did. Unfortunately, it feels as though once we'd taken the lead, everything, we had the wind with us at that point. The crowd was up, as you two would have experienced firsthand as well. And all conventional wisdom suggests just keep doing what you're doing because you are very much the better team right now, and sort of build upon that and, capitalise on it even further. They're rocked. You've given them a bloody nose already. Go and put the game out of sight. And that's what we've done so well down the years. But for whatever reason, we sacrificed all of the hard work that we'd done to get to that point, and just went into survival mode a little bit and retreated and became fearful of what might happen. And that's been Liverpool all too often this season. Now, usually it's come off the back of conceding, and then we've been the ones who just wobbled and not been able to respond and react. And oftentimes teams have capitalised and jumped on us in that sense as well. But yesterday, it felt like for large parts of the second half, we'd really relished the challenge and sort of risen to it. And then for whatever reason, the minute we got ourselves into position to actually hammer it home and go and win the game, we shit ourselves. And I, for the life of me, can't put my finger on it. I had a chat with your dad this morning in his very studio, and Ian, I literally put it to John. I was basically like, why? Is it manager-led? Is that something he said to us? We spoke upstairs, Chloe, about maybe even during the celebration, Slot got a message on there and said, right, now we go defensive mode. Now we try and hold what we have and that all that sort of stuff. Because, again, for 20-odd minutes, half an hour even of that half, second half especially, because the first half was a bit of a non-event, we were just a better team. They couldn't live with us. So to get ourselves there and then go, right, let's change everything we've just done for half an hour makes no sense.
And I suppose, look, we'll ask the question again because I'm interested to get people's take. I've got my thoughts on why it changed, and I think it's more manager than players, but it's players, but it's the managers and the players. I think. Steve, you got any thoughts on whether that is just Liverpool being too meek, or is there something else?
I think both those guys make some interesting points there, and I think you go 1-0 up, and you should keep the foot on the accelerator, and you can create. It's a very open game. First half was like a bit of a basketball match, backwards and forwards, wasn't it? I think there's a deep-rooted confidence issue in the squad. I think you come off the back of a good win in Europe and a good win against Newcastle. You shouldn't go into a game and take the lead against what is a major rival at home in a Sunday afternoon game, and then shit the bed, so to speak, and go, actually, we'll just drop off 10 yards. That's a really good point you made. And they do that when they score goals. It's kind of like, okay, what do we do now? We're in front. Oh shit, what are we going to do? So instead of years gone by, you grab the ball by the horns and you turn the screw and you make it happen. There's a hesitancy in the team that they don't want to do that, whether they live in fear of being caught on the counter-attack, because we're not playing with an orthodox right back. We're playing with a lad who's getting involved in patterns of play further up the pitch, and there's been issues with our centre-back pairing, and we know that Haaland's got pace. So they just seem to... you might be right, it might be information that comes on the pitch from the touchline. I really hope it's not, because if it is, then we have a bigger problem than perhaps confidence in the squad. Well,
I don't think it's... This is where I disagree with the assessment of it. For me, I think where we get it wrong is in the substitutions or lack thereof, because it's so obvious, and I wasn't sure how much of this had been picked up on the telly, so I went back and watched it. I watched the entire second half and all the mess at the end of it back, and our legs go. The legs go in the attack, and no one is more obvious than Ekitike in that. And there's a moment in where we counter-attack in the 82nd minute, and he actually sets it off. He gets the ball back in our third, and he plays it up. And he doesn't... It's not that he jogs. It's like he's just... You can see him, he's exhausted, he's leggy. He's like... I don't know, lolloping's not the word, because he's not big enough to lollop somewhere, but he just kind of like, I don't know, dangles forward or whatever. This is the guy who's our centre forward who should be smelling blood here. We're on the counter-attack. He's got the pace. He should be given every egg of what he's got to spearhead the attack moving forward, but he can't. And he just looks like, oh my God, get me off. You know, and Ekitike has that demeanour about him. I've seen it from him all season long, and I love him to bits. But no, he has that thing like, he had it a few weeks ago where he basically told the bench, take me off. Yeah. And they went, no. And they gave him a gel and went, 5 more minutes, mate. And so I can't quite fathom why we kept him on. And I suppose the answer, if anything, is we didn't have loads on the bench. But, and this is where it comes back to the decisions getting made, we took Gakpo off. Why? Like, what for why and what reason? Not because Gakpo was having a stunning game or whatever, but he had legs. Yeah. He actually is the one who is leading the line in that counter attack. And what happens is, you know, when that counter attack breaks down, and eventually they play through the middle, and Ekitike goes like, ugh, and like waves a leg in the general direction of the guy, and they're down the other end, and that's the beginning of the end for us, really. This
is where I kind of agree with some of the comments in social media, and Sam Walker chief amongst them, in the sense that we lack pace at the moment. And I watched Kieran Trippier beat Mo Salah in a race and thought, wow, you know, you're in trouble when that happens, don't you, in the Newcastle game. Chiesa's got no pace. Not that you'd sit here and go, boy, he's quick. So you're right. Cody Gakpo should play through the middle.
But not even that, mate. it goes back to this thing of and the manager makes a decision. It's too late because actually the legs had gone 2 or 3 minutes before we made the substitution, and therefore before they scored the equalising goal. But it was just like watching it going. I think he might as well have put his hand up and gone, I'm done. You know, tag me out, because it was clear that he was done. Wirtz was fading. Salah never really truly got up to the speed of it all game long. I mean, and could still have come away with a couple of assists in the match, which is wild. But the front line, we just looked absolutely knackered. But the front line was essential to how we were keeping them in. Because if you can't put their back line under pressure, then City will get on and cause you problems. So for me, it was the meekness came from not making a positive substitution, and that's where it comes back to your point, Chloe. I think the manager went, I'll do something else. And it makes me wonder, because Chiesa's not fast, but he's fit. Yeah. And he will run, and he will get in your face. And then I go, I don't think, maybe he's doesn't want to put the pressure on Rio and Gamboa. Mate, he's a senior footballer for Liverpool at this point. I'm sorry, but like life's a shit house. Get him on there. Saying Yanni will go on there and he will go and run for you. Have they not been coached to do that? That's another problem. What was your backup plan? Because for me, if you can do more of the same, you win that game.
I agree.
Yeah.
And we don't.
That was the thing. The whole sort of time building up to the moment where I got 1-0 up was replicable, but it wasn't replicable with the lads left on the pitch, because you're right, the legs ran out and they couldn't carry on going anymore.
The momentum, and you tie that in with the fact that they go 1-1 and the majority of that stadium goes, yep, we know, seen this before, we know what's about to happen. So you've not just lost the legs on the pitch, you've also lost the crowd, because they no longer have belief that Liverpool are going to dig deep in these sorts of situations. And they're not going to have belief when you look at the players on the pitch. And we have, maybe for the legs reason, we've gone and decided to be more defensive. Maybe that is the reason. Either way, I didn't like it. But if that is the reason and we've sat and tried to hang on, then you're not, as a crowd, you're not giving us the belief that you're going to be able to get over the line. So when it does go 1-1, you've got no one on the pitch who can trap a ball. Everyone's shattered. You can't get anywhere near City because City now just have the legs again. And on top of that, you've took the crowd out the game, because there's nothing for us to, we can't even keep a ball for 5 seconds. Never mind, believe that, we're going to get a real big chance here. So it was a knock-on effect of everything, and maybe it did start with the legs. I don't know. I just remember us winning, it being absolutely unbelievable, it being like shell shock to them. I mean, their players were rooted to the ground once Sobbo had scored that goal. Our players had our hands on our heads in absolute sheer disbelief. And in an instant, Liverpool then somehow was on the back foot, but offered nothing at any point.
We were on the back foot because all of a sudden their defence could play out, and we'd spent the entirety of that second half. Watch it. It's crazy to do this to Man City. How many times they went long and we went straight to Kanate, or it went straight to Van Dijk, and we went cool, and we started playing again. We had them on the ropes, and we let them off. And I'm appreciative that we haven't got all of the best options available, and we have had to kind of jiggle things around a little bit. But the game that stands to mind for me is Arsenal in the Cup 2 seasons ago, where we're hanging on and we bring Bradley on and we bring Bobby Clark on in that one. Yeah. And they're both brilliant because they just come in and they're energetic and they're enthusiastic and they just go about the task. It's like Martinelli and Bradley going head to head in the right back position. Yeah. And I just thought, and it comes into a deeper problem of is there trust in what he's done? And look, ultimately, it's Slot's decision to do whatever he wants. It's his job to have and lose. He makes the big bucks. I just thought he bottled that a bit.
Can I just say though, I think if it's a different team with a different mentality and, a better backbone and all this and that, when you go defensive, I reckon there is more belief that we're going to stay resolute here. Yeah. But this season, none of this season has shown me. I mean, we've conceded I think that was the 4th and 90th minute winner this season. That is the most of any club in any season, and you know we've still got how many games left. Like there's no belief. So maybe, you know, last year if Liverpool would have done that, people would have had belief. We'd have sat there and gone, nah, we'll get through this. We'll dig deep and we'll come up with something. Where you just don't have that at the moment.
I just think again, it goes back to it. We played it wrong. That game was all about us staying competitive in the top 4 race. And instead of continuing with that and telling City, you're not the team that you used to be anymore. We're not, but my God, we're definitely as good as you, if not better. And we're going to show that today. We allowed them to change the story back to, we're keeping ourselves in this title race. And the second you remind that City squad that that's what they're doing, that's what's going to happen. We opened the door for them, and that's what it became, and you could see it equalised. And they're getting the ball, and I was like, why the fuck are they running back with the ball? I was like, oh my God, because they're fighting for the title, you idiot. Obviously, like, and that suddenly became the story. And again, a story set in the setting of a team that, like Liverpool, who just continually capitulate.
Well, you couldn't say in the first half we put in a shift physically, because I think a stat came up 35 minutes into the half. They had 6 chances at goal and we'd had none. So we were poor. We were trying to keep them out. If 35 minutes in the second half of playing well and being on the front foot gooses your entire team, then you have to look at what we're doing outside of the game, don't you?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
We were second best for large parts of that first half, especially, absolutely. But again, having got ourselves into position with 15 minutes from home, winning that game of football, to then feels like make a conscious decision to go into our shell. And Chloe's right, like if we were better and more courageous and more solid defensively, maybe you could back that decision and work that out.
But if you're going into your shell, go into your shell.
Well, that's it's the inactivity.
I'm sorry, but Curtis Jones for Gakpo is not us going into our shell because he's pressing. He actually continued our press.
You've got Mataro Endo there. If you're going to go all in on trying to see it out,
you've got Robertson there.
I agree.
Move Kirkesh forward, put Robertson at left back. You know,
it's doing nothing for 10 minutes and just expecting the same lads to do a completely different job whilst the legs have gone. They're all like for like changes, but unfortunately, I think the handful of changes that he had at his disposal, there is a real shortage of him, obviously, but he doesn't trust any of them.
But the legs shouldn't go. You look across the league, you look at your Brentfords and teams like that.
But he's already referenced the fitness a few times, doesn't he?
I get it, but that circles back and comes right back to his door. Yeah. He's responsible for the preparation. 100% preparation of the team. If other teams can compensate for skill with effort and work and endeavour, and they can do it right up to the 90th minute, the big question is, why can't we? I know it's kind of repeating what I said to you a second ago, but that's where your issue is you don't feel you can go to the final whistle. The players on the pitch should. We talk about players on the pitch being leaders and being able to make decisions that the manager doesn't want to manage the whole game. You've got Virgil van Dijk on there, who's an accomplished international footballer with a load of major honours. He should be saying, no, we're not dropping 10 yards off. Let them go long. He was winning the battle with Erling Haaland in that regard, 1v1.
Yeah, but that's the point. That's nothing to do with Van Dijk. They were going long because they couldn't get out of their own 18-yard box. And the second they could get out of their 18-yard box, they're walking it up the pitch. Because our first line of defence is that forward line. And it evaporated. So it's not that. I know what you're saying.
It's not being brave, is it?
But again, this is the problem with Virgil. Being a leader from the centre half is great when you've lads in front of you are doing all the structural work that they're supposed to. It's not Van Dijk's fault that the game starts to take place on the halfway line and then in our half, because we can't keep them in their half anymore. So yeah, I've seen a bit of criticism for Van Dijk. I watched it in the first half,
and we had 7 players in our half, and they had 6, and they had 3 and 3, and we were just working it right, back to Ali, out to Verge, back to Ali, back across the Canate, and we ended up giving it away cheaply, and they nearly score off it. They weren't doing that with physical prowess. They were doing that with organisation. They just sat 2 lines of 3 in a position where they said to us, go on, try and play through that thing, because we don't think you can. Why couldn't we have taken a similar approach to the game and gone, just put your front line 10 yards further forward, you midfield move up 10 yards further forward, and we'll let Haaland try and get the better of Van Dijk in a 1-on-1, because he's never done it and it isn't going to happen today. We just seem to... That what do you call it? Survival mode. Yeah. That thing that Szoboszlai did, that's like the flick of the switch for survival mode, isn't it? We just switched off.
Yeah. We just handed all momentum to them, inexplicably. I will never ever be able to put my finger on.
They were there. They were there for the taking, and again, I know, and this is look. there's every world where you go, if he takes off Ekatike and brings in Yanni on, people are going, what the fuck is he doing there? You know, genuinely. So I'm aware that this is, you know, we're managing this game after the fact. But again, it's just an energy thing. It's like, what is your game plan working or not? Is your game plan the right game plan or not? Because if it is, keep doing it. Find a way to keep doing it as much as possible. But I just think, going back to the point, I just don't think we're conditioned for that.
We're not.
We've not been, and again, I'm appreciative of the disruption that was pre-season. Everyone is and should be. And again, this is a man who's good at managing the fitness levels of players, and I think it just feels like they have anticipated another injury-free season. They've got a deep squad when there's no injuries, but you know, you get injuries, don't you? And now that's happened, but we're not. It's not like a Klopp team that's then being shorn of injuries because we've run them all into the ground. We're getting loads of injuries, and then what's left isn't fit enough to do the job. Because it's like, I don't know. It's like having a one-stop strategy in the Formula One, but not bringing enough tyres to change it to a two-stop if you need to. You know, that's you know what I mean? I feel like we've set ourselves up incorrectly for the season.
He's not doing himself any favours, though, is he? In a lot of senses, it's fair to say. But because he isn't using what he does have at his disposal. Now, I think Klopp fell foul of this. We always think about the season where he lost all his centre-backs and he went to midfielders there for a little bit and he ended up eventually falling upon Nat Phillips and Rhys Williams, and the rest is history, of course. A similar situation going on with a right-back right now, obviously with Calvin Ramsey waiting in the wings and not getting any opportunities. Obviously, Szoboszlai is now not available. But to get to that game situation yesterday, he does have players on the bench that can come on and sort of carry on the work that had been left before, but because he's never used them, they don't feel ready for that either. He's hamstrung himself in many ways by never trusting those lads.
Ass all over again, that, isn't it? You know, all of a sudden you're bringing lads out the cold and telling them to perform at this sort of ridiculously high level, and also some of it's, I just think it's fear. I just think it is. I remember Kenny Dalglish took over the job from Roy Hodgson, and you know, John Flanagan makes his debut. Jack Robinson's playing for us, left back and right back. Two 17 and 18-year-old kids playing full back for us in that. And look, you know, Liverpool weren't anywhere near. No. Well, actually, we're actually the same level that we are now. You know, like so it's like 6 to 8 in the league. But you know, it is a lower level and a lower level squad in general at that point. But he gives these opportunities to these kids, and then the new season starts, he's got the job full time, and he starts playing Skirtle right back when he's got no right backs, because when it's make or break, you probably would be more inclined to put your faith in the senior lads than than hinge your future and your career on kids. I get that, but again, there's an insecurity of that, which is I just hate doing this. Going back to the Klopp thing, I think Jurgen would have span on someone else. You know,
we've seen him do it countless times. And you mentioned, you referenced one game there, the Carabao Cup final is the case in point about what we're talking about. You know, he may well have been able to square peg round hole some senior lads into some of those positions, but instead he ends up going with James McConnell towards the latter stage. You know what I mean? He just has complete trust and faith in these kids to go out there and do a job, because they're professional footballers and they play for Liverpool. The
big difference there is you've got lads who are sitting on your bench, deemed good enough to be in your first team squad by hook or by crook, are quite capable of going filling spaces on the football pitch rather than carving out another goal. But a means to an end where they go and occupy a space that stops City getting out. They've all got football intelligence to some degree. So if you say to someone like Anioni, go and sit in that space there and stop the two centre-backs joining in at the back of the midfield, because the moment City do that, you're dead, by the way. Yeah. Go and sit in that space there and keep them honest and keep them brave. They're bright enough and clever enough to do that. And that's all part of their education. That's learning what it is to do different things in a football match to get you over the line. But that deep-rooted fear that we're seeing every sort of common hour every week, and it coincides with changes, substitutions, not always the right ones. We are scared of our own shadow right now.
Yeah, and look, we did this against Arsenal, and he stuck it out with the team that was on the pitch, basically, you know, and got through. But of course, you know, Arsenal are going to win the league, but they don't have the firepower that Man City. That's all Man City are. They're just attack. They're
pure firepower.
You know, Real Madrid are that. We're a bit that as well. You know, maybe not as prolific as we'd like to be. But just looking at Liverpool's bench options, Curtis Jones, Federico Chiesa, Mamadashvili and Woodman, so 2 goalies, Robertson, Ramsey, Endo, Nioni and Ngamoa. And I look, by comparison, they had Nico Lewis, Tierney Reinders, Nico Gonzalez and Phil Foden who didn't even make it onto the pitch.
It's chalk and cheese, like, there's no two ways about it.
They've got loads more going on, so that's also a consideration that City are in a much stronger situation in that regard. I have a lot of people go, oh, two goalies on the bench. But don't worry about 2 goalies on the bench. We've got 9 subs. Like, 3 years ago, it was, 5 subs, 7, it's been incrementally increasing for that point. My point is, you only need to have so many senior footballers available to you. And also, you're going to face challenges as seasons progress. You're going to have games where you don't have those wealth of options. And that's when you've got to do something. You've either got to out tactics or you've got to trust kids to come in and use the attributes that they've got to bail you out. And he's gone with the former, not the latter. Look, he's allowed to make that decision. Yeah. It could have paid off. It didn't. It's frustrating because, in any other set of circumstances, you would be able to write this off because you can lose to Man City. Good teams lose to Man City all the time. You can play your best and lose to Man City, but it's another one where it has to get tagged onto the game that, well, not the game before it, but the games that have gone, many of the games that have gone before, really. And yeah, it goes back to that point of what's the point of having lads on the bench if you can't. Well,
again, some of them have been so underused that they're probably not primed to come into that situation for a couple of reasons. Obviously, it's baptism of fire for some of the youngsters, it's fair to say, even though they've been in and around these realms all season longer. We've been told forever that Naoni and Ngamo in particular are first team footballers, therefore they should be ready for any given situation, any given day. Rosario Endo falls into the underused category, and God knows what version of him we would get if he was to come on. I know he came on a couple of weeks ago, didn't he? But still, like, I just feel like, again, if he's bemoaning the lack of fitness that his first team ready available players have got, and then the next time only making 2 subs,
doesn't trust them. That's what makes you think.
You know what I mean? Like,
it goes back to that, the preparations of stuff. Like, and I know, look, no Isaac to kick, but we've known that for a while. There's no even a Jayden Dans who would be next in line, who would have been on the bench, and maybe he would have thrown a Jayden Dans on. He's certainly done that before, but again, not got him, not had him all season. So like, what have you got? What else are you working on? Is there something under? I've had a week to prepare for this, and it was nice. I thought it was nice to, that in the midst of it all, to get the players a couple of days off and let them go and be with the families and all that. I'm a human. I can appreciate all those kind of things, but it's a bad look when you plan. I mean, Chiesa coming on left wing. When does that happen? Like, genuinely, when does he do that? So it's all well and good. Maybe we're protecting Rio, but that's his position.
Yeah.
Chiesa's been playing up front for us.
And we didn't sign someone to replace Diaz because that was Rio's position. And yet we get to days like yesterday, and for whatever reason, right or wrong, he's not deemed available to earn a slot.
It's what happens when you're under pressure. You make some decisions.
That's what it boils down to. Yeah. That's what it boils down to. Yeah, he's in fear.
Right. Should we do some of the good things? Because there were good things in the game. I thought Gravenberch was great, Clever.
I mean, it's hard it's not that. It's just like, when it's hard to see loads of positives. The first half, I don't think there was many. The main positive was 0-0.
0-0.
And
Liverpool could improve. Surely they couldn't get any worse. It felt like Liverpool couldn't trap a ball in that first half, do anything. Second half, there was a spell where Liverpool could have been out of sight, out of mind, and I think once again, I mean, we've seen City fear Anfield before, and in this kind of situation, I thought we had them on the back foot. That's when Ryan Gravenberch was really good. We gave him licence to move forward a little bit more. Dom got involved in the game more, but that spell doesn't last long enough in terms of we then revert in the 70-something minute back to just being fearful.
Oh, you're slipping again. Ryan Gravenberch. You've said all this.
I can't. He was fine, sure. Like, sound, lads. Like, everyone on the pitch in red for that little spell was sound. Like, it's true. Everyone was boss for a little spell there. But Liverpool didn't capitalise or score enough goals to be out of the way. So, great, stunning. But honestly, doesn't feel like I care to take the positives. The positive was that Sobo scored an absolute insane free kick. The negative is how the hell is that not the thing that's being spoken about? Like, how have we got into a situation where we've not let that be the talking point of this entire game of football?
Yeah. Dan Gravenberch was great. I thought these games have been defined, I think, for so long by the number 6s. And I thought it was telling that Rodri was on the pitch, and I actually didn't even realise he was on the pitch for the vast majority of that game because he didn't get a grip on it. But I thought as it went on, for the good spell that Liverpool did have, I thought Grav was so central to that. It was spinning, twisting, turning, driving the game forward. That was the player that we've seen at his best. We saw it against Newcastle. It's been in isolated games in the last few weeks. But yeah, we need to see more of that guy because he's a vital cog in what we're trying to do.
Yeah, no, listen, when he's on it, he's a class act. There's no two ways about that. I don't think he's been on it anywhere near enough. I think that's been one of numerous issues that we've had in terms of trying to recapture our levels to look at anything remotely like last season. And Liverpool in many senses have been like Ryan Gravenberch, as you mentioned there, isolated matches, isolated spells in matches. We look absolutely superb, but it's few and far between, unfortunately. And as you're right, when Liverpool did start to up the tempo and the intensity and did start to look like a proper football team capable of really intelligent passages of play, Ryan Gravenberch was in and around the heart of that. And I thought McAllister had his moments as well. There's one in the first half, lovely ball into the feet of Salah. I think Gahey gets across to stop it being a genuine chance. Yeah. Unfortunately, Gahey did a lot of that, didn't he, yesterday? But yeah, again, I think they showed you that those two in particular that have had in different seasons, maybe even worse in McAllister's case, that when they're at it and when they're on it, they are still very, very capable footballers. But there's been too many below average performances from both of them, I think if we're going to group anyone, I think McAllister and Salah are probably quite fair to group together in this. And actually, as far as this game goes, because I don't think either of them had a particularly good game, and yet they both were really involved in like moments that could have decided the game quite easily and fine margins and stuff. So I thought Salah, by and large, stunk the gaff out. His touch was terrible. His dribbling was terrible. He wasn't holding the ball up enough. And yet, he gets played that terrible pass by Hugo Ekitike, manages to dig out a cross, engineers a completely free header for Ekitike, 6 yards from goal, and he misses it. And that's an inspired moment of genius. McAllister picks the ball out of the air. Shot takes a little bit of a deflection, loops, but it's a stunning save from Donnarumma that keeps him at bay. But so in that regard, I can understand why they're in the team, but they also frustrate on so many levels while they're in the team.
They do, and those two players in particular are players that become moments players, but the moments we're seeing are not good enough as well. They get played into positions where they can do more harm to the opposition and they're not doing it, and Salah in particular was very, very obvious yesterday. It wasn't working for him. I think the centre midfield, by and large, throughout the season, you can group them all under an umbrella and say perhaps not good enough. You're still going to find McAllister on the ball in certain places. You're still going to find him getting opportunities to get shots in and things like that. But where's the player gone that for 6 months kept us in a title challenge we probably shouldn't have been in? How bad was the injury last season? We don't know because the club never said anything. That's usually very telling that they didn't come out and tell us what it was. And in both of those cases yesterday, I think you can look at both of those players. When you're making your changes and you reference the substitutions, I couldn't believe McAllister stayed on the pitch. If you're 1-0 up and you want to control the game, you swap him out for Curtis Jones, who will look after the ball for you. So head's gone with some of the changes, but with regards to both of those two players, they will continue in that side to find themselves in positions to hurt people. It's where we need to see them improve in terms of their quality, and we're waiting for Salah to burst into the Salah that we all know. And the longer we wait, the bigger the question is when or if is it going to happen, and it didn't happen yesterday.
Yeah, I mean the Salah stuff's mad in the club because I say he could quite easily come out of that game with a couple of assists and still not play to anywhere near the best of his ability. And then you've got the incident with Gahey as well, and it's funny because Slot's saying like he's running into an area of the pitch basically where he's done nothing but score for the last 9 years. Now everyone who's watching this season will have gone, okay, yeah, maybe not quite as nailed on as all that, but it was another typified him. What a threat he can be even when he's not playing really well. But that whole thing, that whole situation, the pullback and stuff, how quickly that was written off by so many. Like Sky's coverage of it was like, no, nothing, I'm not having any of that. You listen to Liverpool's coverage, obviously, it's like, it's I think it might even be Ronnie Whelan on co-commentary, where they're like apoplectic about it. Just to focus on that incident, what did you think?
At the time, I thought it was a red card if it was going to be outside the area. Obviously, where Salah falls, you only get to see it once, and it's literally on top of us. So, you know, I thought, okay, well, if it's not a penalty, then they're going to really be looking at this to be a red card. I've seen it back, and my problem that I have with it is I get Ruben Dias is covering. I get that he's there. But I still think that Salah gets that ball first and naturally would shoot.
Yeah.
So I think that is denying of a goal scoring opportunity, because I still believe that, I mean, Salah doesn't necessarily need to take another touch in that situation. He can hit it across goal, whether he was with his right foot. Who really knows in this season?
He takes a touch.
But,
We know.
But what I'm saying is I still think he can get a shot off.
Yeah.
So therefore, even if Ruben Dias is covering, if Salah takes a shot first time, it's the denying of a goal scoring opportunity. So yeah, it's tough, because I've seen a couple of angles where I think maybe Ruben Dias might get there, but there's one still from literally level with Salah where it just looks like Salah's going to get to that, and if he has the opportunity to hit it, like if Ruben Dias is closing him down, he's not going to try and take another touch. He might just blast it, because I've seen him do that.
Cut it back to Florian Wirtz, completely unmarked.
So I still think it was brushed over too quickly, and I do think that he has the chance to hit it first time, which is denying a goal scoring opportunity. But I think it's close.
The thing, going back to a close point, which I think is spot on, and that still that we're talking about, it's the one where the contact has happened. Salah's on the edge of the box, and he's just it's him and goal.
Yeah.
You know, and when you play it back, a fraction of a moment later, it's all moved on and Diaz is there and blah, blah, blah. But it just doesn't take into account the fact that Salah is being decelerated by having his shirt pulled, this whole thing, and then he goes down. So those small fractional moments, you know, it's just to kind of bring it on, or bring in their penalty as well. I mean, it's like one of those things. Does Matheus Nunes is he getting anywhere near the ball? You know, he kicked it that hard. He's kicked it over Alisson. I think he's kicked the ball out of play, and I'm not absolving Alisson from this in any way. But like, the ball is in play. Salah has the ball under control. He's running through. That for me, and I know there's the argument of it starts outside. I don't know how true this is. There's a guy behind me who's a referee, and he's like, if it's a shirt pull, it's where the pull ends, not where it starts.
Yeah.
So it's not about pulling. It's not about where you start pulling. If the pull carries on into the box, apparently that's what I was told by a referee that was the thing. But yeah, it just seemed mad to me that they were so quick to go not a denial of a goal scoring opportunity.
Yeah, no, quite possibly. I think that the speed with which they wrote it off is probably something to be questioned. However, I don't believe it's a red card, as much as I would have liked to have seen it have been given as such, because I think there's too many what if this happens? Well, Salah could have done this, Salah could have done that. He's not bearing down, he's not seeing the white of the keeper's eyes anytime soon necessarily. The angle's okay, but it's not perfect. There's a lot of traffic, there's a lot of people around, in particular Ruben Dias, of course, who I think when Salah does get on the end of it, which he absolutely is going to, by the way. I know Gary Neville on comms was saying Salah's not even getting there. He's getting there, don't we? I know his legs have gone, but not quite that gone. Yeah. Diaz is going to be on the scene very, very quickly. Like, that's where I kind of have an issue. And also I take it one step further and suggest that, as we often do in these situations, were that Virgil van Dijk and had he have seen red, I think we'd be having a very different conversation. I think we'd be livid with that being a red card against one of us personally. So yeah, I think it was touch and go, and had it been sent off at the time by the referee, I don't think VAR would have overturned it, and the flip side is also true. I don't think there's enough in it to say he needs to go for that personally. As for the penalty, I think you're right. I think the ball's gone. He's out of play.
I'm not asked. It's a stupid decision.
It's stupid from Alisson. It's absolutely stupid. Yeah, it's a moment of madness.
Canate v Leeds all over again.
Can I just say, that problem...
Ridiculous.
No, but it is. It's a brain fart in that sense. Can I just say, Alisson had a bit of a game like that, because he nearly decapitated Omar Mamouche in the first half. But the problem for that penalty incident starts before that, because Curtis Jones and Lexi McAllister both look at Matheus Nunes and just let him go anyway. Both of them are covering space, essentially, and just let the man run off them. It's
a penalty. I'm accepting the penalty. If you're the goalkeeper and you come out and you miss the ball and clean the player out, you're given a penalty, and it should be accepted. It is one of those mad foibles of the game where, you know, people go, well, if it was in the middle of the pitch, it'd be a foul, but it's in the middle of the pitch and the ball play continues. Any number of other players can pick it up and carry on doing things with it. But yeah, I for me, Salah's running into the area of the pitch where he is most dangerous. There is a square, right? And it runs from basically the near post to the corner of the 18-yard box. A step outside of it and he doesn't score goals. A step inside of that square, inside the 18-yard box, and Salah, that's where he scores his goals from, and he's running into that area of the pitch. And then you're getting into I know that you can, well, what if he does this and blah, 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 blah.
I think...
He's got the opportunity to kick the ball at goal. Yeah. Therefore, it's a goal-scoring opportunity.
I think it's very close, like I said. I think one angle makes me think it could be a red, but there's 2 or 3 that makes me think Ruben Dias is
I don't think it's a red.
Which suggests it's not nailed on enough.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying.
You know what I mean?
So that's why when I've seen it back, like, that is not what I'm fuming about in this game of football. Like, I've not actually took that into consideration. No. That's not what it'd be Liverpool and what they did before that. It'd be Alisson Becker's penalty situation. Yeah. Like, that'd be one of the
game management. Yeah, exactly.
That'd be low down the list. Yeah, but you know, I think it's very, very close. It's hard to say with that one. But it's not that clear of a decision that is what I'm sat here fuming at.
I think if it's given as a red, we're sat here going, we got away with a little bit with one there because you could make a case for both. You can make a very strong case for both.
Yeah, maybe. I don't think we would. I think if they give a red card, we'd be going, yeah, absolutely. It's just, again, goes back to it. Salah's running into a dangerous area of the pitch and he gets pulled back and we'll never know because Mark Gay fouls him.
Yeah, and it's borderline, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's just borderline.
And again, there's countless things that he can do from that situation. You can't tell me that it's impossible for Salah to kick the ball at the goal.
Well, far from it,
if he's not impeded.
Far from it, yeah.
So,
but not many people of sort of vehemently on the side of that's a nailed on red card from the way. I haven't seen much of that either. But again, I'd have absolutely taken it.
Sobbo's free kick, the thing that should have been the theme of this entire podcast. We should have done an hour just on the magnificence of it alone. I have to admit, every time, when he stepped up and he's had a couple, hasn't he, since the Arsenal goal, and he scored some goals, I did think, mate, give it a rest. Like, everyone has their moments in life where you catch a ball as sweetly as you're ever going to catch it and then just stop. So, yeah, if it was me, I wouldn't have let him take that free kick, which shows how little I know about football.
I can tell you now, after that Salah one, I absolutely would have let him take every free kick that I've ever seen now.
Wasn't it?
Yeah.
Was
I was so annoyed with that one.
Again.
I was so annoyed with that one that I'd have stopped us taking free kicks ever again.
I was like, what is
we don't deserve free kicks if that's what we're going to do.
Sobbo scores that one every international break, so we shouldn't be that surprised, should we? Really?
No. My God, what a goal.
But it's one of them, because it's different to the Arsenal one, like different. The Arsenal one is a freak. It's a knuckleball shot, and I've always been skeptical of that because it's too random. You're relying on the inherent randomness of the shape of a football, and the way it moves through the air and air currents and everything, all the uncontrollable variables on that for it to be too regular a thing. This one, Steve, he just batters it. It's almost Roberto Carlos-esque. It hasn't quite got that whip on it, but the fact that oh my God, the care on it is sensational.
Well, it goes from inside to out, doesn't it? Yeah. On a strike, and he travels through the centre of the ball. I was looking at it yesterday, if you think of it as a clock, he's going in about 7 o'clock and coming out the ball at 1. So he's using, and you still get a bit of ball manipulation in that regard, but maybe not to the extent of the Arsenal goal. But from 32 yards out, I think it was, and you've got Donnarumma saying, I'm going to stick 2 men in the wall because I've got this. Didn't even move. The sweetness of the strike, and he's got that in him, hasn't he? And we should never question it again. And if he puts the next 10 in the stands, then it is what it is, because that's ridiculous. To have the self-belief to step up and do that, ridiculous. And you're right, Chloe. I said to Aaron before we went live, it would have been nice just to sit in here and wax lyrical about that being the winning goal. That deserves to be the winning goal of the game of football, but unfortunately we can't manage the game, and we have to sit here and include it in a debrief that's not massively positive. But what a strike, inside to out. The connection of the ball is ridiculous.
Yeah, honestly,
the celebrations outrageous. It felt like, God, we've had so many great games against City in that stadium in the last 10 years and more, really. But that had all the hallmarks of all of them. And I think the fact that Szoboszlai had done it against Arsenal, it felt more akin. Everything at that point felt so like, this is it. This is Liverpool doing what Liverpool we've expected them to do all season long.
It reminded me of the one where Salah turns Cancelo inside out. I think we're underdogs that season. We're very much underdogs this season in terms of like just how poor we've been playing. No one rates us. So going into the game, I think a lot of people expected on the day Liverpool can do something here, but you know, City will dominate, and City had a lot of the ball in that first half, and probably, you know, therefore more people assumed, okay, well this is a very much one-sided game of football. But Dom just steps up, and it's just a moment where he just takes the game away from someone with a piece of absolute brilliance. And I've not seen anyone hit a ball like that live. It's one of the greatest free kicks I've ever seen, being inside the stadium. And I think it's just the absolute audacity of the fact that it hits off the inner side of the post and goes in. Everybody's reactions to it. Kirkes has got his hands on his head. Virgil van Dijk can't believe it. Hugo Ekitike is doing this with his arm. It's that good. Like, no one could believe what was going on at the fact that...
It'd be great for podcast listeners.
He was just celebrating. Basically doing the Zidane. Is it Zidane on the side where he goes like that and then it's a piece of absolute pure brilliance. And you'd thought, oh my God, our hero has stepped up again. The saviour of the season is here. And I just feel so sad for him because we just let him down time and time again. Like, what more can the lad do? He's doing this from right back at this moment in time.
I was just getting it up then because Liverpool's, in terms of like goals and assists this season, Ekitike is leading the way with 19, 15 goals, 4 assists. Szoboszlai's behind him on 16, 9 goals, 7 assists, which is stunning. FBref have got him listed as a midfielder / defender, which tells you a lot about his season. To blow that up a little bit more, going from Transfermarkt, it's got his season broken down as such. Attacking midfield 10, right back 7, right wing 6, centre mid 6, defensive mid 3, right mid 2. Now, of course, the right mids, right wing back things are a little bit kind of a bit of a mush. But what it does is it tells you that Szoboszlai has had no fixed position for us this year and has still been able to put in that kind of goal return, including obviously free kicks as well. But Ste, I feel so sorry for Dominic Szoboszlai because I think he's been our best player this season. I think he had a little dip just post-Christmas, but he's well and truly back from that. He's carrying this side at times. And then that last moment, you know, we're going for it, they're going for it. That whole situation, that final situation that leads to their third goal, that leads to Dom Szoboszlai being sent off, is one of the most mind-bogglingly stupid set of events that I think is up there with anything I've ever seen in a football match before.
From clean through, the ball's going to go in, don't get sent off because you need to play against Sunderland, like rocks for brains, decision to pull him back. The whole thing, and then they just go, do you know what, he pulled him, it's gone in, the game's going to go to City, it's a third goal, just get on with it. They pull it back, they do all the nonsense to do with VAR, he gets sent off, he misses the next game, they don't benefit from the free kick that ensues. It's just a mess from start to finish. But it starts from the fact that we spend a good 90 seconds with Alisson playing up front. You know what I mean? And you've got to do that in that situation because you'd rather throw the kitchen sink at it than be meek and just lose with a whimper, wouldn't you? So you're going to do it. But there's a couple of times, as good as he is, there's a couple of decisions he's made across the season. You think, why did you do the back heel in the box in the cup game? That decision there, just let it be 3-1 and then reset. And we're now going to his nature.
It's not his nature.
To be fair to him, he's just fuming, isn't he? Yeah, he's just like I actually look. He's busted. He's the one on the pitch who's trying to do everything for Liverpool at this moment in time. I can understand why in that moment he's done that. Like, I can get it, and he's probably thinking he's not getting there anyway. So, you know, it probably won't result to anything because a goal will be given. But ultimately, he's the one who's who's been the biggest leader this season and who's gone, no, I'm not having this. Yeah. I'm not having this. This is disgraceful. And he's the one who's tried to put things right. And I think once again, he's pissed off that he's scored a worldie, he's saved Liverpool and Liverpool have let him down, and then he's doing everything he can to try and save Liverpool again with this goal line clearance, and he's just done it in the moment because he's just trying his hardest to get
I admire it. I'm all for it because that's what making the play what he is.
Doing.
We've waxed Liverpool countless times about his work rate and his commitment and his energy that he brings, and that was that in a nutshell. 95th, 96th, whatever minute it was, he's absolutely leaving everything out there in order to get back. A lost cause, essentially, he's chasing at that point, and yet still he's trying to do something. He has to do something. That's just that's a competitor in him.
Because if he can't stopped, just let it be, we'd have all turned around and gone.
Yeah. Hindsight,
someone could have tried.
In hindsight, you obviously don't do anything and play on Wednesday, but it's just not. It's not him as a person.
Yeah, no, it's right. It's one of them. You're right. Rationally, it was fucking stupid.
Yeah,
but so stupid because it's obvious. Like, mate, don't bother. You're gonna get set. Leave him alone. You're getting sent off. Your best case scenario is you're getting sent off here. Like, that was the best case. But the thing that it's such a mixed bag of feelings, thoughts, and emotions. Because I absolutely admire him for giving everything just to show that someone cares enough to fucking run back and try and do something. I think it was fucking stupid because it's just a fucking red card to pull Erling Haaland back for no reason whatsoever because it's going in anyway. And then on top of all that, they score a goal, and you're like, oh well, whatever. Fair play, everyone. Right, pack up your toys. Let's go home. That's cool. And for those gang of joyless fucking meths at the PGMOL to go, well, actually, let's get the rule book out and have a look through this one. What are you doing, you gang of tits? Just fucking let it be a goal. Like, honestly, you get so many things wrong when you're trying to get them right. Why not just let this one go? Because honestly,
2 fouls offset each other. Give them the away limbs. Give them the scenes. Like,
the ball is in the back of the net. You've just sent someone off for denial of a goal scoring opportunity. You denied the fucking goal scoring opportunity, you gang of morons. Like, and I get it. Oh, it's in the rules. Blah, blah. Bore off. Fucking bore off, honestly. Like, just crack on. Let the referee blow the whistle. Let them celebrate being in the fucking title. Let us go away and recriminate and lick our wounds. But let's not. Nobody wanted that.
No.
There was not
Sunderland might have done, and Arsenal maybe. Yeah. But outside of that, no.
Yeah, there was nobody in that ground who had any stake in that football match who would not have gone, fair enough. 3-1, and we keep Szoboszlai.
What are we doing? Common sense did not prevail.
It's not that common, is it? That's the problem. Certainly not amongst the referee and fraternity. Like,
no, well, there's such a thing as common sense in referees. I'm not sure. So.
What are we doing?
Just unnecessary.
What are we doing?
Just completely unnecessary.
I think, but I do also think it's because Ali's ran like 60 yards back to basically ask for the foul. So we basically, by asking for the foul on Zobo, have made them go and look at the entire situation.
Stupid. The foul wasn't so bad. Like, nobody was hurt. No. Like, it was just a tit for tat, wasn't it? The pull and then the second pull. Like, it's not like Haaland wiped out Zobo because then you would go, hang on, someone needs to look at that. It was nothing. Both of them were nothing.
Because he's not a penalty save specialist, is he? Do you know what I mean?
No, definitely not. No,
ask for go on, give him a penalty instead.
Yeah, no chance.
I'll save it.
Yeah, absolutely wild. We've kind of touched upon it, but I don't want to go too heavy on the Alisson thing. But I could do with him just being a bit more Alisson Becker in the coming weeks. That would be nice.
Elements are still there. He makes that really Haaland big save of Haaland. There's one of Norby as well in that wild spell of the game towards the end when that Norby's literally point blank range and just wellies at him and he gets it. So he's still got that in him, but he's also seemingly
he's also got the passing into the
worrying stuff's creeping in, isn't it, as well?
Yeah.
But it was interesting because I watched Donnarumma, and at one point while we were on top, I turned to the guy next to me and was like, he's not Ederson, is he? You know, he's just not. He's not in that guy's league when it comes to being a footballer.
Distribution wise, or just generally.
But it fundamentally changes who they are as a side.
Sometimes he doesn't want it.
Yeah. But he just kicks it long
incredible.
all the time. But this is it, and it got me thinking about the Alisson thing. Is we've got Mamardashvili there, and I think still the sum total of Alisson is better than the sum total of Mamardashvili. but it's going that way again, isn't it? We're going back towards who are the footballing goalkeepers. We're going back towards shot stoppers again by the looks of it, because Mohamedashvili is just Donnarumma. He's just a not as well established younger version of Donnarumma. Yeah, obviously are we seeing the last of that sort of breed of those type of goals? It'd be sad, like
6'6" shot stoppers. That's what it's going to be, isn't it?
Yeah.
But the way the game's gone, set piece heavy. You might be for the betterments, mate, if you've got a big keeper who can command them sort of situations.
I've seen at West Ham a few years ago. He doesn't like the physicals.
When it's on him, like, no.
The save by McAllister, by the way, is just incredible from Donnarumma as well.
Yeah, it is. Ugh, yeah, really, really annoying at Liverpool. 6th.
3 points off ninth, by the way, guys.
You're having a bad day, aren't you?
I am.
Looking
I'm having a great day.
the right way.
Empty,
Yeah. I'm just saying the team in ninth are literally the team we're facing in 2 days.
2 days.
Yeah.
It's mad. Like, I can't actually
Chance
fathom
to
it.
put a bit of distance between us and Chelsea.
That's not funny, but it is.
Yeah, I know. Right, cool. We'll do a little bit on Sunderland after the break. So, yes, stay tuned for part 2. Excellent, nice one, gents. Right, before we go, we have got something very, very exciting to announce. Chris, would you like to tease what is coming next?
Yes, we have got something so exciting, something that's going to take Redmen TV and our content to the next level. We are so incredibly excited for this.
Yes, it is something that you have been asking for over 11 years. Welcome to the Redmen Originals Biased Football Podcast.
It is the deep dive. I'm joined by the man, the legend.
It is the Chloe and Abby show.
It's JNO Inside Time.
Our survey said...
Yes, if you are listening to this on, your podcasting app, or you're watching it on YouTube and you're bored of the adverts that those platforms insert endlessly, I know, having spent a lot of time distracting myself by watching old Royal Rumbles on YouTube this weekend, that YouTube, particularly on the TV, it's just an absolute nightmare for how many adverts it puts in. So if you want all of our free content, ad-free, then you can, if you subscribe to the Redmen Plus app, then you can get it all in there, as well as all the additional content that we do, like the Biased Football Podcast, which we're going to be doing straight after this one, but we're going to look a bit more ahead at the general wider fixtures happening in midweek and beyond, at some of the other stuff that happened in the weekend just gone. So you can join us for that show over there as well. Right. Sunderland.
Unbeaten at home.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, all good things come to an end. That's what I'll say. Yeah. I mean, I've no idea how Liverpool have got 11 footballers who are going to be fit enough to get on the pitch for that. We shall see. At least, we don't have long to wait, because...
Are you sure? You've gone to the wrong person here. Mm-hmm. I need a break. This March international break is screaming my name. I can't. I mean, look. I think it's because I'm travelling to the aways, and just know that like a 4 a.m. get back on Thursday is going to be delightful.
Yeah, I mean, from generally speaking, the perspective would be we're all miserable when Liverpool lose football matches. Exactly. Yeah. So we haven't got long to wait before they get back on the horse and try to find new ways to break
put it right.
Instead.
My word. Yeah. I mean, it's going to be a tough task, isn't it? I mean, Sunderland. I mean, I've never been in the stadium alight, so I am actually looking forward to that. It's a new ground that I'll be able to take off. I expect the atmosphere from them to be really good. Good side, did well against Liverpool at Anfield, so it's going to be a really tough game for Liverpool, especially hearing that they're obviously unbeaten at home. So, things don't get any easier, but Liverpool, this is where you've got to stand up and you've got to, show that you're counted for, and you've got to prove that, you've got a backbone, you want to put right what has gone before. So, I'd be lying if I said, like, I expect Liverpool to, you know, come back and show me something and prove something, because there's been far too many, like, false starts for Liverpool this season where I've been like, oh, okay, a bit hopeful that Liverpool are turning it around. But what I will say is it's going to be a task where Liverpool will have to stand tall, because Sunderland are no pushovers, and Liverpool, you know, if they don't show up, they can be physically bullied everywhere.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough one. Honestly, this season's such a fucking mess, Steve, that I really just don't know what to expect. It's at this point a bit mad. It would be a bit mad to expect Liverpool to rock up and just comfortably do away with Sunderland. But really, realistically, we've left ourselves in this kind of situation where we just need to start winning football matches. So, looking at Liverpool's fixtures, we play Chelsea, United and Villa. I think it might even be in that order. Maybe City, maybe United and Chelsea the other way around. Is the fourth, third and second to last games of the season, which is to say that if we can play ourselves into some degree of form before then, our Champions League destiny will end up in our hands. But that's fucking completely academic. And as we've just seen with the game at the weekend, if Liverpool don't get a grip on the football matches that they play, we run the risk of those games being about those teams securing Champions League football rather than us doing it.
And losing to City puts so much pressure on everybody going into Sunderland. And it won't be losing to City that makes people think about people's careers going forward. It'll be games like Sunderland, like Brentford's teams around you that shouldn't be around you, that potentially shift your league position. So it's all very different when it's in your... I think what you're trying to say would be nice if that was in our hands. If you go and win those games, you guaranteed what you want as a second best, other than winning a title. Obviously, there's a very strong possibility on the form we see at the moment that the games that we've got ahead of those games might mean they're dead rubbers, and that would be the worst thing for us in terms of our European qualification and our endeavours for lots of reasons, for money, for transfer targets, for the project going forward. We've played ourselves into a horrendous position, and every single game, like a Sunderland away, you turn the screw. They turn the crank right up, haven't they? And if they're not feeling the pressure after losing City, they'll be reminded very quickly on Wednesday where we are.
And you get to that point, though, where, you know, just... we're back to the manager conversation. It's mad to say, see performances in spells, they're as good as they have been, and yet it will persist. But Sunderland, Brighton in the FA Cup, Nottingham Forest away. I mean, not like we've got a great record there, but West Ham at home, Wolves away. It's another randomly tricky one for us, even though it shouldn't be. Spurs at home, Brighton away, Fulham at home. The Merseyside, it's getting toward the end of April. A good Liverpool team should be more than capable of going away and doing the business in all of these, Dan. But again, it's on them. We're into the realms of hope rather than expectation. And it's just a really shit way to be. And I know, because I spent most of my lifetime as a Liverpool fan experiencing this. This is what seasons always used to go like. Yeah. But I don't want them to be like that anymore. I want us to be like the Liverpool that we've been for the vast majority of the last decade. It just... yeah, we need to see them do it, because I can't sit here and say that they will.
No, there is nothing really to hang your hat on and to revisit to suggest that we are capable of just putting down a run of consistent form and performances. And a lot of those teams, whilst on paper, you'd suggest that might be a favourable run of fixtures. This Liverpool team don't give you any belief or confidence that it'll turn out that way even. The problem is, a lot of them sides, I'm not going to group them all together and sort of tar them all with the same brush. There's a lot of quality in them as well, of course there is, but fundamentally they are pretty much all hard-working teams with a structure and a real sort of like belief in what they're doing. Certainly Sunderland, the most pressing of the issues of all of those things as well, and we'll have to match that. And Liverpool need to show they've got the appetite to do so, which I think again has been found wanting all too often this season in these sort of environments. So yeah, it's going to be really, really tricky to navigate. And not only that, we've just spent a decent portion in the first half of the show talking about the fitness issues that we've got and the lack of options that we've got on the depleted squad, and the fact that maybe the manager doesn't trust some of the players that we've got. So we're going to have to go to the well 3 or 4 more times in quite quick succession with a really small group of footballers, so it's going to be properly difficult. But
then, as mentioned, Brighton in the FA Cup, he clearly has put a lot of stock in the FA Cup this season. So they go to the well, and then what? They go to the well again, and then And then what? You know what? This is the thing. At some point, he might actually have to trust some lads. If he's going to do it, he needs to do it now, because we said this before. What you don't want to do is run even more lads into the ground, and then you get to April, May, and let's say running them into the ground has managed to get you up and running. Cool. You get an injury, another couple of injuries, you're fucked, because the lads who are then in reserve haven't kicked the ball in anger for you for all this time. So this is a wider way of asking, who's playing right back for Liverpool on Wednesday?
Curtis Jones.
I mean, it will be Curtis Jones, but I still think Calvin Ramsey should just have a say in it. Like, I just
100%.
don't understand it, man. He's a right back. Like, what is? It will be Curtis Jones, though. Like, that is truthfully what I believe.
That's right. Yeah.
But I mean, if you're not going to use Calvin Ramsey now, you're never going to use the lad. Yeah. Like, you never, because we are, especially in that like Brighton game, you've got to, because then it's not just, you know, what you miss from midfield and stuff, but it's also the fact that Curtis Jones then can't come on to help out Alexis McAllister or Ryan Gravenberch, who are being run into the ground, and both aren't up to speed as it is anyway. So it's the knock-on effects of all of that. Just put a right back in and see how he does.
Right back and move Curtis into midfield, but you're right. You know,
Endo's the other thing, because he just doesn't get used anywhere. So, you know, you could put Endo in there, of course, but I agree with the Calvin Ramsey thing. Listen, Slot obviously watches him in training every week, and we do this a lot where we're like, well, you know, I watched him play quite well against Palace in the cup, and predominantly that first half, because it's there in front of you, in front of the Kop, we were defending, so like it was there. If he's not good enough, put fucking 3 goalies on the bench, mate. You know what I mean? Genuinely, like what? Yeah, what is the point? Put another random kid on. What is honestly the point of having him if you can't even begin to think about using him?
He's put himself under massive pressure, because he came out 2 or 3 weeks ago and said, I've got lots of different and better options at right back than Calvin Ramsey. Clearly, as we sit here today, you don't have any. But he's left himself with egg on his face, because if he then has a climb down and plays Calvin Ramsey, people go, well, what was that for? He's talking loads of rubbish.
Well, to be fair, I think when he actually said that, I went, oof.
Wasn't a great comment, was it?
Not a comment I reckon you should make, to be honest, lad. Like,
well, what it doesn't do, it doesn't fill Calvin Ramsey with confidence. If you ever do get to a situation where you do need him in game or for the start of a match, you know what I mean? It's not lifting him up any, is it?
So it's not even just now looking back at it. Like, I remember at the time, I went, has he actually just said that? Like,
we all felt that.
The thing with Ramsey is, right, he is unproven at Premier League level. Let's get out there early doors, right? But he was signed as a senior footballer who's having a really, really good time up at Aberdeen. And he played a decent amount of senior football up in Scotland. Now, I know there's levels to this, and I know that isn't it. Yeah. But he's then been away and been a couple of unsuccessful loans, granted, but he's had more senior experience. He's been around Liverpool for some time now. It hasn't always worked out. Injuries have played a big part as to why. But it's not a kid, is what I'm trying to say. He isn't a child. Like, he's not a academy lad plucked from, you know, obscurity out of nowhere, come up and do a job for us, mate. We're not talking about that. This is a 21, 22-year-old lad who's, you know, cut his teeth a little bit. He's been around. And one thing we know about Arne Slot is he doesn't listen to outside interference, because there's been people talking about Calvin Ramsey and maybe just play a right back there for a long time. But now, for God's sake, now in a situation whereby you just go, if you do the Curtis Jones thing, which I think he will, by the way, as you said there, he's just cutting his nose off to spite his face, because then he's running out of options to do other stuff with as well.
And that's the thing, it has a knock-on effect. Do you remember the season where we had absolutely 0 centre-backs aside from Nat Phillips and Rhys Williams, and all of a sudden Jürgen realised, right, I'm missing far too much out of everywhere else on the pitch, so let me just put lads who aren't brilliant footballers, but their crafts are in those specific positions. Let me put them there. And you know what? Maybe the thing in front of them might improve. So maybe the balance of the team might improve, and they might not have to do as much because there's other people doing their correct jobs in their correct positions. So it helps you in other positions and departments, because you're not then losing what you had there, and you're improving in that space. And my other problem with Calvin Ramsey might be his injuries. Absolutely, we can talk about the fact that, you know, he might not have used Chiesa for how long because, you know, his risk of getting injured and things like that. But at the point now where, like, you're on your bare bones anyway, if you're not going to use him anyway, like, what's the point?
Well,
you're at that point.
The problem with injury-prone players is you never get to choose when they're injured. No. So while they're fit and available to you, use them, because they might just pull up and train in the next week. I mean, Chiesa's missed probably 3 or 4 games in the last year and a half when he'd have been playing but actually he picked up a knock, or he got sick, or got injured in the warm-up, and then wasn't able to take part. So, someone like him, and this is crazy, because what are we doing? Why are we all having this mad, really entrenched opinion about fucking Calvin Ramsey playing right back for Liverpool? Yeah. But the honest answer is because this is where we're at, and the point's not wrong, I don't think, to reference the Nat Phillips and Reece Williams thing. I mean, even to the point of Reece Williams, he was on the bench against Palace, I think I'm right in saying, and we had an injury in that game as well, didn't we? I think did Gomez go? Someone got injured anyway in that game, and Reece Williams isn't even considered for that. And again, we've been here, and I don't know what's gone on with what's happened to his career at all. But we do own footballers, and it goes back to that. What are you trying to do? I think the Jones thing is a problem, and I would rather. I think Jones is probably still the best. He's the best player out of the three options we've just discussed. But I can't get my head around this idea of where's the rest coming for McAllister, Gravenberch, or Gravenberch. That's the nature of it. How do you freshen that up if you need to? Because we said didn't even take McAllister off at the weekend when it was an option to do it. Train Yanni could, maybe this is the chance for him to shine and get a bit of football. But I wouldn't.
But if he's not, once again, you go back to that point then where he's putting on Trey and Yanni, who's hardly been used all season, and he's asking him to do a really good job and go to the well for you. Well, you've not used that. You've not gave him many chances. It's not. Do you get what I'm saying?
You're not setting him up for the best possible outcome. Are you? You know what I mean? Yeah.
I think that's really difficult, because I think our substitutions for a good year or so have absolutely killed us whenever we made them.
Just on the Ramsey thing, finally. He isn't the best footballer out of the aforementioned options that we've already referenced, but I think he's the best right back, and he understands how to play that position because he's done it all his life. The nuances of the position and your body shape and all that sort of stuff, that's what he's been trained to do, that's what he's been geared up to do. And again, his career most definitely hasn't gone the way he would have wanted, or Liverpool would have wanted when he signed him for, I think, about 10 million quid actually, they put him down for. So there's real sort of high hopes that he was, the successor or the understudy to Trent or whatever. Obviously Conor Bradley then emerged and sort of became that, and Calvin's career went a different direction. But again, 22-year-old lads, not a kid, bench fresh imagination, has played right back a lot. So let's just go with it and see what it looks like. Because
theoretically, I mean, all of this comes from the fact that Gomez doesn't look like he's going to be fit in time. No. But again, if you're rushing Gomez to maybe have him fit for this, don't. Give him another couple of days to get ready for Brighton, because we might well need him for that, because we're going to have to rotate a bit somewhere. I don't know. It's mad that we should. This is the hill that we're all probably going to end up dying on, is the Calvin Ramsey hill. But it is a sad indication of where we're kind of at with stuff, really, isn't it? Anyone else think there's anything different we're going to do? I mean, Robertson will probably come back in, stay, I'd guess. Even though I didn't mention it before, I thought Kerkes was excellent again, actually.
Klopp's played Robertson at right back once or twice, hasn't he? Time's gone by. That wouldn't be that.
Did he?
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Wow.
Swapped him over to right back when we took Trent off and put Simicast on the other side. It's mad. It's mad permutations. But your point about body shapes and all that.
This is devastating to my. I think there's a global agenda against left-footed people thing. Like.
This Ramsey would know how to defend, because that's what he's done all his life, and would know where to position himself in a set piece. And Curtis Jones' first thing is to get his head up, look for a pass rather than be defensively solid. And that's by proxy what he does. Not because I have any disparaging comments about him, but I don't know. It's looking at them fixtures before the games we've got, the Sunderland, the Brighton and the Forest, they're absolutely pivotal. Those three games could sink or swim you. Do you know what I mean? To want a better phrase. You don't get positive results in all of those. All the lads are goosed. They go into a West Ham game who are fighting for their life, and they've got a little bit of a light at the end of the tunnel, which makes them work a bit harder. All of those games become difficult if those three games don't go your way.
The mad thing is that literally we're all talking about, we are talking about not... towards the end of the season, you face the teams who are going for top forward, but you also need to put yourself in a position where you're in touch and distance. And the next couple of games, Liverpool could be out of sight, out of mind for that top five. Like, they really could be.
The danger is that with players as well, as you start to look ahead to that Champions League round, and you start to think, I've got to make sure all our season hinges on the Champions League, and that's insane to think that in like a week into February. It might be correct, but like, come on, like let's have this conversation in March. You know, Liverpool need to, but it just happens. Players' heads naturally get drawn towards. So you need to just get these lads, and you need to go and put them through the ringer and say, you know, if you want a place in that fixture, whoever it is we end up playing, if you want to be involved in that, then fuck me, come and empty the tank over the next few weeks here. Come and get us back into some sort of competitive situation in the league. Because if you think that we're going to get ourselves out of this mess by winning the Champions League, Jesus Christ! Wow. I think we can win the Champions League, but I don't think you can if your heads have completely gone in February. You know, by the end of February, and you're out of touch and you're mid-table, other teams will just come and steamroll you.
That's catch-22, isn't it?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
No, absolutely.
The issue we've got heading into Wednesday, sorry, just to on that, like I can only foresee one change, and that's enforced. Yeah. And I think it's obviously Szoboszlai suspended out and Jones in, and that's the only change I see was making. And I think that, again, it's mostly due to what he has at his disposal, but I also can get extended a little bit further in terms of what he's not been willing to do and try and utilise over the course of the season. But if we are heading into a borderline must-win game of football, at a really difficult place to go in the form that we're in right now, with those lads looking knackered, this is a recipe for real problems.
We had a week off and we still look knackered. Like, how? Like, it was a week. They played midweek and somehow looked fresher.
They're not training at this stage of the season in a true sense, are they? You know, they're just ticking over.
Again, it was an opportunity. I mean, again, I don't know whether Liverpool historically do this or not or whatever, and I'm not against mental health breaks, you know, and all that kind of stuff. I think it's fine. Footballers have got to have lives as well, but spend time with the families. You know, when it's going well, you don't think about this stuff twice. But when it's not, you can't help but look otherwise. And again, it goes back to the players that are at his disposal. I'm sorry that we haven't got more. I'm sorry that Frimpong and Bradley are injured, and now Szoboszlai is suspended, and Isak got injured. But like, do something else.
Breaks, like.
Yeah. Honestly, do something else. You just can't run 12 lads over and over and over again. And you know, you will gain unity. You will gain fluidity, and I think we have seen that. You know, I think we've seen increased, you know, relationship. I think Kerkez's role is getting better and better. Florian Wirtz and Hugo Ekitike, absolutely. But they can't do 95 minutes. So what then? You don't go, oh, well, never mind. Buy some more players in the summer. He's not going to get to the summer. Wild. This has been fucking horrendous, everyone. I'm so sorry. But it's not our fault. It is Liverpool's fault. Never forget that. But as long as there's games of football to be played, there is an opportunity to put smiles back on our faces and joy into our lives. But that is on the lads and the managers to deliver that for us. So if they could do that, that would be absolutely great. More from us. Not expressly Liverpool related, more general football related. If you want to see us carry this misery and see if we can dump it onto other football clubs, then come and join us on the Redmen Plus app for the Biased Football Pod after this one. And yeah, do remember, if you need some more during your life, go and check out the Axa UK YouTube channel for the latest episode of Player Portraits as well. Right, guys, thank you so much. That was fucking shit. Hopefully it'll be better next Monday. Ta-ra.